Everyone, in this class we'll have Woljeongsa Temple. Let's go into it. Um, Located in the dense forest in the valley, there's Odesan Mountains. The Woljeongsa Temple is surrounded by green, forest all year around and has a tranquil beauty. Odesan Mountain is high and deep in the mountains. Each ridge is gentle and rich. Soraksan Mountain, the facing north is masculine, but Odesan Mountain is a mountain with outstanding femininity. These mountains are called Yoksan, and you can see why Odesan Mountains houses Woljeongsa Temple has been a Buddhist sanctuary where many Buddhist saints have resided since ancient times. A clear and beautiful summer. Let's see in a picture in the middle. During the summertime, I took pictures. When you reach Woljeongsa Temple, along the clear and beautiful valley, you encounter Kumgangyeon. It is considered one of the most beautiful places in the clear and chilly Odecheon Valley. Also has a natural, monument. Crossing, Kumgang Bridge across the Kumgangyeon, you will find the main hall of the Woljeongsa Temple. On the left, and the Fir Forest Road on the right leads to the entrance of the Woljeongsa Temple. Turning entrance. The entrance faces in different directions, avoiding the front as if it is trying to give the heart quite to feel nature, such as stones and trees. Hard to take pictures and leave one. In order to leave meaningful ones, when making an idea or designing a design, we try our best to make the story more vivid, like a scene in a movie. They stand facing each other next to a temple pillar, and they look head on, but they seem to avoid looking at each other slightly. You have to approach very gently from the front so that he can look straight at me. Octagonal in a 9-story stone pagoda of the Woljeongsa Temple. Woljeongsa 9층 석탑. Octagonal 9-story stone pagoda. Woljeongsa Temple, 15.2 meters tall, has cylindrical shapes and a gentle smile on its head. The octagonal-shaped stone pagoda of the Woljeongsa Temple, also called Sarira Pagoda, was popular in the northern part of the Korea. There is a sari inside of the pagoda, because it was built to enshrine the sari of Buddha. The 9-story pagoda body and roof stones very slim and stable, and various changes in sculptures made of octagonal shapes give splendid impressions. Subtle patterns. If you're looking at closely on the floor, the lotus design, you can see the lotus design symbolize Bahal. Bahal is like it's also called temple, Bahar, widely used for the floor design of the temple. The lotus flower patterns are characterized by the triple arrangement of 8 petals and the carving of the flower vine in the center. giving the impressions the lotus petals are spinning and spreading. It is so different from the lotus pattern of the Woljeongsa Temple. The lotus flowers seen in a reality feels spinning as a spirit. The feels the universe is shaped like a lotus flower. The patterns, if you see those two pictures, the patterns of the other countries hide in the colorful gardens, giving them a feeling of full spread or rotations. These various patterns represent strong images and splendor. Delicacy would be excellent, but our deep patterns hidden in the subtleties seem to be more and more shining in our heart. The lotus petal surrounding the lower part of the outside, and the lotus petals carved in the volume in the teacup bowl. They are full of spirits. Each and every small crack on the lotus flower very gently makes the softness come. Fruit of hawthorn trees. Next to Woljeongsa shrines, there are many standing hawthorn trees, a red fruit with a small, pomegranate like in a mouse. It looked much softer and better to see last year, was tangled up, as if Jupiter had been trimmed. These hawthorn trees have a history of 1,000 years. It has been with the Woljeongsa Temple for many years. Hawthorn tree is a tree holds thorns and retains the meaning of the mura. Mura is often seen in the temple yard. In Woljeongsa Temple, the sansa tree stands with the maple trees to protect temple. Particularly, blooming scene of light purple flowers. Tatorian aster is making flower path on both sides of the roads, perhaps the most blooming seasons. White azaleas contrasting with the red azaleas flowers, the guides surrounding natural scenery into distinctive space. White flowers. Hydrangeas hung at the end of the sleek eaves now look more nature and mature in the scene of the season on Dancheong. The white flowers of the well grown hydrant flowers greedily around the midsummer green leaves. With the colorful dancheong as the background, the bright white flowers give a sense of relaxation and spiritual vitality. This reminds one of artist's work, Kim Gi-na, Wayu Sansu. This evokes an illusion, as if her mind were buried in a pile of the flowers, just like the traditional ink and wash painting style. The three-dimensional landscape of modern senses. These kind of senses can be felt by contrasting Korean colors with calmness and liveliness. These come from the smudging and depths of the ink. So sometimes we want to keep the spread and depths of height ranges for a long time under the tile roof. Sentimental beetle of cute. We can see beetle on the pictures. Beetle begins a walk between the height ranges of Woljeongsa Temple. This stopped me for a moment. With its front wings, turned into hard scabs. Looks like dynasty Hercules that belong to the beetles. Have thin, phylum-like, the wing, folded under the front wings, spread out, and fly. Another feature of the beetle is its, porous lattice structure. Inside the shell, there's porous lattice structures. When this shell structure receives light from a particular wavelength, reflects show color. This feature is called photonic crystal. This is why the body color changes, known as the feature of the beetles, also the reasons. The beetle works just like the principle of a changing body color according to humidity. So he changed the color by humidity. When the traits of a parent comes down to the future, it must be only the traits adapt well the surrounding environments are selected and survived. And the beetle seems to know the secret of the creations. The geometric shapes and the delicate and emotional appearance of the beetle even captivated the car designers. So car designers has the ideas from this. So one of them is the beetle of the Volkswagen. The beetle, which had been ridiculed for resembling beetles, has become a success in the huge U.S. market as new beetles. The main reason why new beetle lead to success can be understood in the philosophy of corporate design, which aims to overlap the past, the present in design. Innovation in technology and design has begun as a majority of German makes modifications to the geometrical form of longhorn beetles. This can be clearly identified visually to meet the demand to advertise the symbol of the owning a car to the outside world. Think a small campaign. Looking at the beetle productions planned in the 1950s in Volkswagens, think small. The campaign targeting the US market at that time. One can understand why the company used it as an emotional strategy to lead the car's emotional design. Perhaps the Beatles were trying to add the primitive sensibility of nature to the memory of history at the center, where they were able to preserve the original form for a long time. This is why. The Fir Forest Road. Fir trees forest path. Woljeongsa Temple is so famous. Reminds me the fir trees forest path. This road was originally an access road to Woljeongsa Temple, but it bypassed the access roads to preserve the beautiful forest path. And now a forest bathing and nature observation road. The fir trees coexist along the 800-meter forest, said to be over 200 years old, usually over 25 meters tall. And there are many large trees are 400 to 600 years old. Very old, trees. Just as the living and the breathing forest of the life refreshes one's mood. The unique smell of the sky high fir trees exudes a subtle air at the tip of the nose. The scent of the green, the pointed fir trees that fell on the soil penetrate through the nose to the head. I like walk this path a lot. If you go there, there's dead trees, dead fir trees is lying down. Everyone who walks in the rather bleak landscape stops and stands up once in a while. One day he collapsed. This old tree collapsed alone in the wind, but it is easy to see the trees being born, growing, returning to nature. The oldest fir tree is adult, over 500 years old, close his eyes. The bottom of the building is empty in the middle. You see, there's empty in the pictures, creating a shelter for squirrels and mountain animals. Long, leaved trees, gradually empty their stomachs as they grow older. Metabolic activity of the body is completely covered by the outer shell. They say they can live for so long because they only empty their stomachs and do minimal ambassadorial activities. It seems that the wisdom of the old ancestors who used to empty their minds and live long came from trees. Recently, the forest path of the fir trees has been turned into a space with stories, making the most of the surrounding environment using storytelling techniques. Last, those two pictures shows storytellings. There's a design makes the most of the surrounding environment and captures stories in the space through the storytelling techniques. The place evokes the illusion of exploring jungle forest with the mystery of ancient jungles around the resort area. The designer Bill Bensley, he designed this resort area. Passing through a jungle-like garden, you can see we can feel the traditional architectural form of the Lana kingdom. There is one of the kingdom period. It's another time-space lobby. A traditional architectural materials such as teak, silk, and terracotta express both traditional and natural beauty in the modern way. It also shows a natural space of life. The rescues abused elephants, the breaks the boundaries of nature, the coexist with humans. The storytelling techniques set in nature and histories are always exciting and exciting. The Fir Forest Squirrel. This is snapshot. I took photos of a squirrel while pass through the path. After spring flowers bloom in the fir trees forest, we can see the leaves begin to bloom from the bottom of the mountains. The garden and the green becomes thick, starting with the flowers of spring flowers. When the mountains are colored with the color of the flowers, the squirrel appears and create a picturesque scenery. Sitting for moments, under the broad shade of the breeze, you know, he takes a zip of clear oxygen. When I have oxygen, the holding a corn in his mouth and is started and run through the cracks in the rocks. Very cute squirrel. Glance at, you know, and I start to, looking at him, stand for a while, hiding his shoulders as if he had noticed, but if by just looking into his eyes, before I knew it, I become a woodcutters and friends and jumping. The faces of trees, I named this because tree has many faces. So surprised, the trees in the forest have different faces, sick or dead or never show up. Particular the joy of finding and naming shapes, the made of the white snow on trees that adds to the fun of the feeling nature. It may be called differently depending on who see it. But the grasshopper, the the last picture, if you see, uh, I named it grasshopper. Looks like a grasshopper, right? Raise his head in the rain, seems to welcome me. There's another picture, another faces I found, the glorious beauty of the green flower tree in the sunset gives me life. The vigil in the tree guides the way, and the view of my mind through the shapes of the tree clearly read. Springtime wildflowers. On the forest trail of the fir trees of the Odaesan Mountains, you can see beautiful wildflowers of spring days, brightly blooming. Can see a rare species called yellow patterns iris. Iris was first discovered in a tree forest before Odaesan Mountain. A lily of the valley, spiky leaf, mustard, too small to find one's face. Golden saxifrage, pink catchfly, Ferris, starworth, whose petal ends are not split. European bird tree, see European bird cherry, a pair of yellow plum blossom, smiling on the path of the spring. Perhaps many lighting designers plan to produce these lighting designs by looking at wildflowers such as a pair of yellow plum blossoms to express the vitality of the buzz and the permanence of nature, the patterns depicting the formation and extinction of the geometrical elements, dots, lines, and faces were produced. Geometrical elements. Lighting design, using geometrical patterns, focus on metal crafts with the flower buds as a medium. This is designer Park Se-hee designed. Geometrical elements were patterned by repeatedly listening them. It is intended the light overlaps with the distance of the bulb and the lighting light. The combination of lighting with overlapping and the function of the repetitive patterns of patterns shows interests and new visual enjoyments. The overlap of patterns allows us to feel rhythm and life. At the same time, that gives us a sense of psychological stability through the effect of repetitions. You see, it's a colorful and a beautiful wildflower, very precious, and always gives us, fresh pleasure. If you observe wildflowers carefully, you must have to feel, lonely to go a long way. Even, heartwarming to see them, talk affectionately together, gather wisdom and rely on each other. The nature really seems to be able to feel its infinite emotions when looking at the whole, not alone. Friendly nature bridges. These bridges, going away, Although it is not a long, forest road, from the Woljeongsa Temple to Sangwonsa Temple. There's another small temple, upper part in Odesan. It's connected from the Woljeongsa Temple. You will see a friendly, nature bridge as you walk along the richness of the nature. I was glad to see my old friend after a long time. A bridge refers to, temporary bridges made of the wood and covered with dirt by laying pine benches on it. Although many have disappeared now, it was our old bridges, easily seen anywhere in the river village before. The old bridges link, connect different words beyond, just architectural meaning. Though seems that the rainy season, will sweep away his legs, but he still, seems to be, overcoming the years, as if it is, sincerity to reap as much as one has devoted himself to the constructions. The man was, dimly seen in the twinkled forest. If you were a child on a shaky bridge, you would run more, but walk as if you had lived your life step by step with worry. I like this part a lot. I like to slowly, steps and steps, walk as an old road, very old road, friendly stepping stones, friendly nature bridges, bamboo, forest connect the path, unique trees such as Betula, costata trees, the red ribby, reeved hornbeam trees, and the painted maple trees catch the eye. The friendly nature bridge leads to calm mountains. A bridge allows us to cross friendly forest valley. It's like going from the present to the past when you meet such an old bridges. Thank you for listening.